Welcome to the 5-Minute PM Episode 12, where we break down everything project management into 5-minute segments. Today we'll be talking about a concept that has long been discussed in project management Brooks' Law. You may have heard the saying, adding more people to a late project makes it later. This is the heart of Brooks' Law, a principle that has stood the test of time in the world of software development and beyond. In this episode, we'll explore what Brooks' Law is, why it's so important to understand, and its broader implications for project management. What is Brooks' Law? Brooks' Law comes from Fred Brooks, who wrote the classic book The Mythical Man-Month, originally published in 1975. Brooks was a software engineer and project manager who led the development of IBM's System/360 family of computers. During his time managing large-scale software projects, he realized that there was a common misconception about how adding more personnel impacts the timeline of a project. The law itself can be summarized as follows: adding manpower to a late software project makes it later. The reason for this delay stems from several key factors, including the overhead of training new team members, increased complexity in communication, and the coordination required when more people are involved. Let's break that down. Why does Brooks' Law happen? At first glance, it seems intuitive that more hands should make lighter work. However, Brooks recognized several reasons why this doesn't happen in practice. 1. Training new team members. When new people are added to a project, especially one that is already behind schedule, it requires existing team members to take time away from their tasks to train and onboard the newcomers. This time spent on training detracts from productivity, slowing progress rather than speeding it up. It's like having to explain the rules of a game halfway through. It takes time and effort. 2. Communication overhead. As you add more people to a project, the number of communication channels increases exponentially. In a small team of 3 people, communication is simple. There are only 3 possible interactions: person A to person B, A to C, and B to C. But when you grow that team to 8 people, you now have 28 possible communication lines to manage. This overhead adds complexity to even simple decisions, and the team spends more time coordinating and less time getting actual work done. 3. Task partitioning. Not all tasks can be divided easily among more people. Certain tasks are inherently sequential, meaning they depend on the completion of earlier steps before anyone can move forward. You can't speed up the process of coding a software feature if the design hasn't been finalized. In such cases, adding more people doesn't accelerate progress but actually clogs up the pipeline, leading to more delays. The impact of Brooks' Law on project management. Brooks' Law is crucial to project management because it challenges a common fallback strategy. When things are behind, add more resources. This solution is often proposed by stakeholders or project sponsors who believe that simply increasing the workforce will magically shorten the timeline. As project managers, it's important to understand why this doesn't always work. First, expectations need to be managed. Stakeholders often push for increased resources, thinking that this will quickly resolve delays, but Brooks' Law tells us that this is not the case. In fact, adding more people can sometimes do more harm than good. Second, Brooks' Law highlights the importance of early planning and accurate estimation. The need to add more people often arises because the initial planning underestimated the complexity or timeline of the project. If your project timeline and resource needs are accurately estimated from the beginning, the likelihood of falling into the late project trap is reduced. Lastly, Brooks' Law speaks to the importance of maintaining a well-structured team throughout the life of a project. Projects with smaller, stable teams tend to perform better than those that rely on ramping up staff late in the game. A well-trained, cohesive team works more efficiently than a larger, disorganized group. Real-world examples of Brooks' Law. Now that we've covered the theory, let's look at some real-world examples where Brooks' Law has applied. First, healthcare.gov rollout. In 2013, the initial launch of the US government's healthcare.gov website was riddled with technical issues. The project had been delayed and, in an attempt to fix the problems, more developers were brought in. However, the new additions didn't help. It took weeks to onboard new team members, while communication challenges and technical debt continued to mount. The project remained delayed, illustrating Brooks' Law in action. Second, IBM's OS 360 development, Brooks's Law, was based on Brooks's own experiences managing the IBM OS 360 project. The operating system development faced severe delays, and in an attempt to recover the timeline, additional engineers were brought onto the project. Rather than speeding up the process, these new additions led to further delays due to the need for training and coordination. Why Brooks's Law is still relevant today. Despite being formulated in the 1970s, Brooks's Law remains incredibly relevant today, especially in software development and other knowledge-based industries. With the rise of Agile and Scrum methodologies, many teams have adopted practices that emphasize small, stable teams that work together over long periods of time. The pitfalls of adding more people to a late project are well understood in these frameworks, but the lessons apply just as well to waterfall projects and traditional industries. Brooks' Law serves as a reminder that throwing resources at a problem is not always the answer. Effective project management is about careful planning, communication, and team cohesion. While it can be tempting to think that more hands will get the job done faster, understanding the limitations of this approach will make you a better project manager. In summary, Brooks's Law teaches us that adding more people to a late project will often make it later, due to training needs, communication overhead, and task partitioning challenges. It's an essential concept for project managers to understand, especially when they're under pressure to deliver quickly. In the end, good planning, clear communication, and strong team dynamics are far more effective than simply increasing headcount. Thank you for listening to the 5-Minute PM. Remember to get more project management tips and tricks. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to this channel.